Hey everybody, what I want to talk about today is something I think may have gone unnoticed by people that are into drones and aware of the ANAFI, and even those that actually own an ANAFI. This drone is able to film in DCI 4K cinema, which is also referred to as C4K or Cinema 4K. So what the heck is it and why should I care? Well, the best way to explain what 4K cinema is to tell you how it differs from 4K ultra high definition or standard 4K. The main difference is that Cinema 4K is the standard used in the film industry and professional productions. UHD is the consumer display and broadcast standard. Now, Cinema 4K has a resolution of 4096 by 2160 versus the standard 3840 by 2160. So it's a little bit wider with an aspect ratio of 1910 versus consumer standard 4K, which has a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. The other main difference is Cinema 4K can only be shot in true 24 frames per second, while UHD is shot at 23.98 frames per second. Okay, so you're getting a little more resolution and a wider frame, but really outside of that, I don't think anyone can really tell the difference between the two, but I'm making a point to learn everything there is to know about the ANAFI because that's how you get the most out of it, right? I've done about 12 videos on the ANAFI so far, so I'm leaving a link to the playlist down in the description, and then there will be a card that will pop up here as well. So check that out if you are interested. All right, so let's head out to the field and get some video samples of Cinema 4K and standard 4K and compare. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, you caught me off guard and
What we're about to do is we're going to put the ANAFI up in the air and we're going to film in Cinema 4K. So here's what you have to do. You have to go from standard to cinema, and you are only able to film in 24 FPS. Okay, so that's what it should look like. And you can see what my other settings are. I'm going to go in and I'm going to set the white balance here just so it doesn't fluctuate. I'm going to leave everything in auto, everything else in auto. Okay, now here's what I've done. I've created a flight plan, and we're going to go ahead and execute the flight plan. The reason why I'm doing that is because we're going to film in Cinema 4K, and then we're going to film the exact same footage in UHD, so standard 4K, and we'll compare the two. I might go ahead and film in P-Log as well, using this same exact flight plan. So 3 flights. All right, let's go ahead and get on into it. 2 minutes. There it goes. So you can see the flight plan here. We're going up to 200 feet, then we're going to climb to 239 feet. All right, and there's a little pond over there that I used as a point of interest. And then there's another little pond behind where I'm sitting that I'm using as a point of interest as well. And you can see that there. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our live feed here. And there's the ANAFI doing its automated flight. And the main thing we're concerned with is the difference between Cinema 4K and standard 4K. Now, the one thing to remember with flight plan is you still want to keep the controller pointed at the drone in order to maintain connection. Looks like we're getting some Wi-Fi interference. I believe I did put this. Nope, I didn't put it in airplane mode. You want to make sure you put your ANAFI in airplane mode. The reception will be much better. Oh, that looks wonderful. And I'm not sure if that video is blown out or not. Doesn't look like it is because I'm only getting zebras there on the water, but we'll see when we play it back. Could just be the way the feed is. As a matter of fact, I want to check that out. Yeah, everything else is in auto. except for the white balance. So we should be exposing properly. There we go. ANAFI is doing its thing. There is the drone. Keeping the controller pointed. And we seem to be maintaining our reception. 2-minute flight. There it is, returning to the start point here. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and switch this over to standard 4K. Let's play again. And then it'll do the same exact flight. Okay, so we're going to come out of cinema, go to standard. Okay, so you can even see on the screen how the image cropped in some. Did you see that? Okay, we're still going to film at 4K 24 frames. Everything else remains the same. We're going to hit play here to start our flight plan. And it's going to do the exact same flight. There is the ANAFI doing its automated flight plan. Can barely hear it, if at all.
So we've got standard 4K on the left and Cinema 4K on the right, and while you are gaining a little more resolution with Cinema 4K, I don't think it's very noticeable to the eye. Now I can pick up on it because I viewed this footage like 100 times while editing, but you take a look and see if you notice a difference. I definitely like the wider frame though, and that'll become more apparent in some of the comparison shots coming up. Now this is a park near where I live, and I never knew that this little pond had this emerald or aqua looking color to it. Really pretty, and another reason why I dig flying drones, because you get this bird's eye perspective from the air. The image coming from the ANAFI is darn good, but I have noticed that it tends to lean towards the yellowish side. But that's something that can be adjusted while editing. Okay, now we'll get a full screen comparison. Here's standard 4K and here's Cinema 4K. And again. Now my conclusion is this. If you're shooting in 4K at 24 frames per second, you might as well use the Cinema 4K option and get that wider frame and that little bit of a higher resolution. Why not?
You get what I'm trying to say, 'cause to you I'm an open book. Oh, take your time and read me slowly, baby. Got the hungry look, but it's hard to say all the things I want.
Compare that way. So I'm going to go back to cinema. All right, and then instead of natural, we're gonna go T-log. Okay, I haven't had great success in grading P-log, but I've done a little research, so I'm gonna try something out with that. So let's go ahead and push play again, and the ANAFI will do the flight plan for a third time, and then we'll wrap up here in the field. Go in and do our comparison, and we'll talk through some of that. As you can see, P-log ungraded has a very flat image, just like any log profile. And you can see how flight plan could be useful in a lot of different use cases, right? Construction, if you want to kind of track the progress of the construction of a building, a home, or something like that. Or if you're an accountant, a cost accountant, and you want to track the amount of materials being used. You know, there's all kinds of use cases for flight plan. Let's say you wanted to do some kind of seasonal time lapse. That's something that I've actually been planning on doing, but I've never gotten around to it, where you could do the same flight plan in spring, summer, fall, and winter, which I think is really cool, and you just lapse them all together. Maybe I'll do something like that here pretty soon, and just set some reminders on my calendar to go out and do the darn thing. This wouldn't be a bad flight plan to do it on. Okay, so we're nearing the end of this particular flight plan, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up. There's the ANAFI coming on home.
Okay y'all, so this video was just about another cool feature that the ANAFI has. I think you get just a little bit more resolution, but other than that, I can't tell much difference. But I definitely like the wider framing, so I'll be using this from time to time, especially when I'm filming in 24 frames per second. Well, check out some of my other videos on the Parrot ANAFI. Like I said before, I've done about 12 so far, so check out the playlist linked in the description box below, and hopefully you'll enjoy those. Until next time, be good to somebody, be good to yourself. I will see you in the next one. Later.